F Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. It's time for Wallow and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here's your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome in to Black Friday. Oh, I know you're all scurrying. You're all getting out there after that big football and hoops feast and turkey yesterday. And actually the feast sort of continues today because we've got all kinds of basketball. We've got football, that is for certain. And if we look back a little bit, and we will this show, Ole Miss's Egg Bowl turned out to be sweet sugar dessert. Looks like they'll end up in the Sugar Bowl. The NFL games were really good, well, at least the first two. They ended up being walk-offs. Now Buffalo flexed their muscles and routed New Orleans. The Brooks versus Bryson golf event is a part of the sports smorgasbord today, and I'm going to try to glimpse a little bit of that to see if any venom comes through. And, of course, tonight the Tigers try to win the NIT championship. Nobody has been able to come up with the answer. I started thinking about this about the last 2 minutes of the game against Virginia Tech as the Tigers were pulling away. Has there ever been in the history, and does it really mean anything anyway, but has there ever been in history a team that won the NIT their last season, the defending champions, and then won the preseason NIT? And as far as we can tell, Jay Morgan, nobody's ever done that before. So the Tigers could make history tonight against Iowa State.
They could. That sounds like rarefied air. That's I don't even know. I don't even know how many of the teams that played in the previous NIT play in next year's NIT. So certainly one of a kind accomplishment if they can pull it off.
Yeah. Now I will fess up, I learned that the NIT, and the reason it moved from the Madison Square Garden to the Barclays, is no longer owned by the NCAA. Remember, the NCAA took over the NIT, and they still own the postseason NIT, which was played in Frisco, will probably move back to the Garden this year. But they gave the preseason NIT event to ESPN because ESPN, of course, loves the college basketball Turkey Day week as a part of their major programming. They sell a lot of advertising with it. It's profitable, so they wanted to keep that event alive. I think it's cheaper to get the Barclays than it is Madison Square Garden, and you got to worry about the Knicks and the Rangers and their schedule. So quite easily, they moved it to the Barclays, and that's why it's there. It's no longer owned by the NCAA. So they're two different organizations. I'm not really sure the whole thing really matters, but it is kind of interesting. Football games were interesting for sure yesterday. I thought the Bears showed me something. Now, it's against the worst team in the NFL, and the Bears probably are amongst the worst teams in the NFL. But there were rumors about Matt Nagy getting fired after the game, win or loss. And basically, management had to come out and say that's just not true. And the Bears have never fired anybody mid-season. So I think Nagy's going to be around to the end of the year. But Andy Dalton, filling in for Justin Fields, managed the game perfectly. And the Bears' 18-play, 8.5-minute drive absolutely managed to the 10th detail perfectly, ending up in, as the clock went to zero, and short chip shot field goal through the uprights, and the Bears end a 5-game losing streak. Andy Dalton did an incredible job. Now, in the middle game between the Cowboys and the Oakland Raiders, that was a flag fest. I'm not sure I've ever seen 28 penalties, 14 apiece, so it was right down the middle. And the Cowboys had 166 yards in penalties. I don't think I've ever seen the team get that many yards in penalties, and the penalty that did them in was basically a pass interference. But you got to admit that Carr was really good in this game. And
all year. I love Derek Carr.
Yeah. He's really been terrific, and 36-33 in a game where I thought both quarterbacks played well, both teams played well, hard hitting, a brawl in the middle of the game. I mean, and all the suspense you wanted to. And we also learned that the referee Hakalai, his crew, they call more penalties than anybody. The league ought to do a better job monitoring that.
But also, a lot of those penalties, I agreed with the call too. So maybe it's on the players a little bit as well. But I do understand over a certain period of time, if these particular guys are always calling the most penalties, it's more than just a one-game sample.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I think the league, and it's the coaches because they coach this. The league allows holding on every play. So there were instances in that Bear game where they would have 2 or 3 consecutive holding calls, and they were back to, I mean, they were first and 30 twice in that game for Detroit after they'd moved the ball into Bears territory, because I'm telling you, that offensive line is so bad they can't hold anybody out, so they literally hold on every play.
There was one there was a sack being committed, and the guy was holding. The Detroit Lions offensive lineman was holding the player still as he sacked the quarterback. Never seen anything like that in my life. It was remarkable.
Well, there were actually 2 holds on that particular play, if you recall.
Yeah.
The guy being held, they didn't even call it on him. He made the sack while being held, and the call, there was a holding call that was declined that was on another guy on that line. And I noticed on all the replays, every time Detroit held. So this comes down to, if you really want to clean this up and you don't want to have a holding call on every play, stop coaching holding.
You would have to, right? I mean, you're right. I agree.
Yeah.
And you see it more in college, too, where it goes by not being called. But I'll tell you what, those NFL officials are far quicker with the whistle than those college officials are. And that's probably why you get games like 28 penalties sometimes.
Yeah, crazy stuff. Egg Bowl, nasty conditions to start. I thought that game got decided at the end of the first half. I really did. If you believe in omens, now you still have 30 minutes of football. I get that. But when you're State and you're down and you can take a lead and you drop 3 straight passes that would have been touchdowns. Now, granted, it was raining hard at the time and the conditions were awful, but you've got to make one of those 3. Poor Will Rogers is right on the money.
Great passes.
And it was 2 different receivers, actually, that dropped the 3 passes. And then you miss a field goal and you end up with nothing. Bad
sequence.
That sequence is the end of the game. They fought hard, but you know what? I have so much respect for Matt Corral. I'm not sure I've ever seen a tougher Ole Miss quarterback. Now, I know John Forcade took a lot of hits. The very first Egg Bowl I ever went to was in 1981, and Forcade was the quarterback, and he engineered a drive down the field, and he was getting battered. I mean, he was getting hit all over the place because I will say this, over all these years, going all the way back there, the intensity of the Egg Bowl has always been that way with hard hitting. And he was getting slobber knocked around several times. As was Corral last night, and he just shows so much toughness. I feel sad for Will Rogers, 336 yards. I mean, and they fought all the way to the end. In fact, Will Rogers tried to run the ball in the end zone on the last play. They couldn't figure out, though, and give credit to Corral and the combination with Drummond. He was unstoppable. 13 catches, 133 yards. Ole Miss, we know, when the going gets tough, they're going to bring in either Ely or Connor and really snoop for the tough stuff. They got 159 yards on the ground, and it's hard for me to believe, with all those years and all the legacy that Ole Miss has and tradition, that's the first time they had 10 wins in the regular season.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Did you know that until yesterday?
I was shocked. I thought the stat was wrong. I was positive that they had made a mistake on television, but it turns out it's true. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, no, it is, and it looks like they're going to go to the Sugar Bowl. And now the question will be, will they keep Lane Kiffin? We know Matt Corral's not going to be around.
Right.
Will they keep Lane Kiffin? Or with all those jobs that are out there, and we know now that there's a couple of guys, James Franklin, Hugh Freeze, that are not going to be in the mix. So who's going to take USC? Who's going to take Washington? Who's going to take LSU? Who's going to take Virginia Tech? Who's going to take TCU? Wait a second. who's going to take Florida or Miami, places that Kiffin could certainly be targeted for.
Well,
those two in particular.
I have some reporting on Miami just real quick. It looks like that they're going to fire Manny Diaz, and the lead candidate right now is reportedly Mario Cristobal. So that's pretty big news out of South Florida too.
That would be amazing if they got Cristobal. But the two candidates that I hear the most about with Miami are either Lane Kiffin or Primetime.
Oh,
Deion Sanders.
Prime. I
to
love
leave
that.
Jackson State and to go to his alma mater. Wouldn't that make some sense? Wouldn't that put a big, huge spotlight on that program? That would make them immediately an attractive entity for all. Everybody would want to see how he does going back there. And he's done a good job with Jackson State. And if he hired the right coordinators, I believe the guy could sell that program, and it would be a terrific move. We'll have to wait and see if that is the way that it goes. Of course, we got a big basketball game tonight. How many of us between the two, raise your hands. I'm not on Zoom, but you are. Or not Zoom, Facebook or Twitter or whatever.
YouTube, all the places.
Yeah, we're everywhere. We're worldwide, baby. Raise your hand if you thought Memphis would be playing Iowa State.
I don't know if I thought that, but whoa, man! And that Iowa State Xavier game was good too. Iowa State's a sneaky good team. They had that guy drop 30. I don't even remember his name, but that was an unbelievable game by that kid. This will be a good one.
I'll tell you exactly who that kid is. His name is Isaiah Brockington, and I actually saw him at the Barclays 2 years ago when we were here. We watched NC State, Memphis, and Memphis played, and the Tigers won that game, so they're 1-0 in the Barclays. But the game the day before we all went and saw was Penn State. It might have been against Ole Miss because Ole Miss was in town for a different tournament, but also at the Barclays. And Penn State was playing, and their star was Isaiah Brockington. And Isaiah Brockington transfers, and that's the whole key to this guy, T.J. Otzelberger. So this guy was a coach at South Dakota State, won there. So UNLV said, hey, we're going to take a chance. We think this young guy's really sharp. UNLV gets him for 2 years. He wins there, and the next thing you know, he's the Iowa State coach. So what does he do? He brings in transfers. 3 of his starters are transfers. The best player actually might end up being a freshman who had he ended up with 19 with 5 steals in that game. Kid's got 16 steals in the 5 games already. He's one of the leaders in the country. His name is Tyrese Hunter.
That's number 11. That's that little
then
number
they got
11.
another kid, Cal Schuer from Minnesota. So they have 3 starters that are transfers from Penn State, Minnesota, and Kansas, a kid named Anaruna. And then they got this freshman who's incredible. He's from Racine, Wisconsin. How he didn't go to Wisconsin or Illinois or, any school in Chicago, I have no idea. But he ends up at Iowa State, and they've won 5 games. They won 2 all last year. They won none in the Big 12. This guy, Otzelberger, bringing in 6 transfers, 3 that start, that's a heck of a story. They are really disciplined. They were good, and against Xavier, they hit 9 threes at a very good percentage. They haven't hit that many threes this year, and they only shoot them at 33% for the total year, but they were on fire against Xavier. We've seen upsets like crazy, and the one great one yesterday turned out to be Iona over Alabama. That is the first team from that conference to win against a top 10 team in history.
Really?
And Iona did that. Yeah.
Wow. Well, leave it to
When
leave it to
Jim
Rick
Valvano.
Pitino.
So Jim Valvano did beat a top 10 team, but I don't believe that Iona was in the league they're in now. That I believe I saw. That's the first time in history that conference has beaten a top 10. And you know what? Rick didn't do it for publicity. I think the school did it because they like Rick and he was a part of them before. But what a hire that turns out to be. Because as soon as they hired him, much like Sanders would get for Miami, they're going to show the spotlight on that. Oh, what a story it is. The man, the Hall of Famer's coming back. And what does he do? He wins right away. Took him to the NCAAs last year, and now he's knocked off a top 10 team. I mean, Iona looks brilliant in what they have been doing. Okay, so on Fridays, we have Glenn Rogers, and Glenn will be with us for the last time because we're going to wrap up high school football. Last weekend, it's Black Friday today. Last weekend was Black Weekend. All the remaining Shelby County area teams, gone. They're done. They're not going to participate in any of the events in Cookeville. They were eliminated. So we'll wrap up this high school football season with Glenn Rogers, and that comes your way in the next segment. And then we end Fridays always with our friend, and we got lots to talk about on the NBA and the Grizzlies, who I don't understand that team still. Jay Morgan, how do you go to Utah, win that game, and come home and run out of gas? That was the newspaper reporting. Runs out of gas against a very mediocre team at home. I cannot understand how they let Toronto pull away.
Well,
and it was Precious who did it.
He's good.
The former Tiger hit 3 of 3 from 3-point range. I think he was 1 for the season before that.
He's so good, and the only reason the Heat got rid of him is because they had an opportunity to kind of win now. But Precious is going to be really good in the league for a while. Great to see him play well in Memphis, too. That's awesome. All of their starters in that game scored at least 17 points. So the Raptors are kind of sneaky good. It's a good basketball team.
Hard one for you very quickly. Who has the better NBA career, Precious Achiuwa or James Wiseman?
That's a great question. Oh, man. I think
I'm going to let you off on this one. I'm going to say to be determined.
It has to be, yeah, because James Wiseman's ceiling is higher, but Precious is a role player for a long time in this league.
And it's really going to take James Wiseman a while, because think about this. The last time James Wiseman really played was 3 years ago in high school. He never really played college, 3 games. One against good competition. Then he didn't play last year because he was injured, and he hasn't played this year. The guy hasn't played in 3 years, so the jury is really going to be out for a while. But there is no more jury on Precious Achiuwa. That dude is going to be an 8 to 10 year veteran.
Absolutely.
He may never be a star, but he's going to be a rotation player in the National Basketball Association. On Fridays, we also love to give our locks, and I'm behind Jay Morgan, unfortunately. But I was 2-1 last week, just like him. I'm making my move right now, and we rotate these. So I go with one, you go with one. I'm going to start, because we're not just football. We do basketball. We do things across the table here. I'm going to start with tonight's game in Los Angeles. The Lakers are trying to prove something. LeBron is trying to prove something. He had 49 points the other night. Or was it 39? I'm sorry. 39 against Indy. But he was everywhere. He won the game for him with Anthony Davis out. He's got something to prove. I'll give away 7.5 in whatever they call the old Staples Center, that new
Crypto.com Center.
Crypto.com. Thank you. I'm taking the Lakers. I'm giving away 7.5.
Who do the Lakers play? Tell me again. I missed it when you said it.
The Sacramento Kings.
Oh, the Kings. That's a good game. That'll be a good one to watch. I'm going to do
the coachless Kings.
Yeah, the coachless Kings. Now, what a tough firing there. But anyway, getting distracted. My first game, I picked against the Titans last week, Dave. I know you know I'm a Titans fan, but the Titans are going to New England this week. Vrabel's played really well against New England. A lot of that's a credit to Arthur Smith, but still, I think the Titans have been really good against Bill Belichick. The Patriots are 7-point favorites in this game, so Titans are +7. I'm going to take the Titans on the road. Tough game in New England, but I'm going to take the Titans.
All right, Titans +7 for Jay Morgan Harder. My second game, it's at the Big House. It is in Michigan. It is Ohio State and Michigan, and frankly, the winner of this is provided they win the Big Ten championship, and I think they will, either team. The winner of this will go to the playoff. It's almost certain in my mind. The winner of this will be the playoff contender, and the winner will be, as always, Ohio State. All I got to do is give away 8. They killed them every year. Jim Harbaugh cannot absolutely beat a big team at any time, especially this one. He's never beaten Ohio State. He will not, and the Buckeyes will win by more than 8.
Wow, on Sports Time, Gabe and Brett and Bryant all group locked Michigan, Dave. So you're going against your former show
Wow.
there. But that's all right.
Well, what do they know?
What do they know? I'm going to go Giants this week, are at home against the Eagles. The Eagles just had a good game beating the you-know-what out of – who did they play? I forgot who they played. Regardless, Eagles just won a huge game. They go to New York against the Giants. Giants are 3.5-point underdogs at home. I like the Giants this week to bounce back in a tough division game.
You say 3.5?
3.5.
All right. Giants minus 3.5 against Philly. My last
plus
one
3.5.
is an NFL game. The Falcons are only giving away 2. They are on the road, but they're playing Jacksonville. Arthur Smith's team needs something badly. I think they're an average team. I think Jacksonville's a terrible team. And it's only 2. I think the Falcons are due again. I like Atlanta. I'll give away the 2.
That's one of my alternates. That's a great pick. I love that. My last one here is I'm going to do the Packers at home. They're 1-point underdogs against the Rams, which is a tough line. The Packers are really good. I would imagine the home team to be favored in that one, but the Rams are really good too. But either way, I'm going to rock with Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to go 1-point dogs, take the Packers at home against the Rams.
I saw that. I really had a hard time understanding that particular game.
Well, they've lost 2 of the last 3 too, so maybe it's just a what have you done for me lately deal.
Well, and the other thing is, I don't know how accurate it is, but Aaron Rodgers says he has a broken toe. So if he's got a broken toe, but he came back from COVID with a broken toe and won a game.
Exactly.
So I don't really know. I think that was I was staying away from it because I thought it was too tough, and it seemed to me to be a sucker line. But we'll see. You took it. It's yours. I am in the Family Leisure Studios in Brooklyn. How about that? The Family Leisure Studios are everywhere, but the place you need to go is I-40 and Whidden Road for the Christmas sale. It's going on. Get your game room right for all the family to come. See, if you'd gone last week, you would have gotten 20% off on a bunch of this stuff, and you'd have had it for Thanksgiving. But you still can get 20% off. You can still have all kinds of shuffleboard and pool tables and air hockey and lots of fun for the family and the friends for the holidays. If you go now, 20% off on all in-stock stuff. Please go see my friends at Family Leisure. And I know you had a good time yesterday. We got lots of events. You know, this is like not many people working today. This is like the long weekend. This is Thanksgiving weekend. The holidays have arrived. We got Black Friday. People are in great spirits, and they need spirits to stay in great spirits. Where do you go? You go to see my friend Eddie Connor and all his family right at the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue. That's Poplar in St. Nick. You know it. It's the little log cabin right down from Clark Tower. You've passed it by a million times. If you've never been in it, you'll be amazed at how much stuff is in there. It looks like it's small. Not when you get in there. Eddie has so much product, and it runs the gamut from accessories to beers to bourbons that might be rare or might be bargains. Same thing with wines. You want an up-and-comer? Eddie Connor knew about Cornerstone, the Memphis folks that started that winery out in California. He knew about that when it was just up and coming, and it was really very affordable wine. Well, now it's as much as Caymus. It's as much as Silver Oak, because it's really that good. But you get in on the bottom floor, he educates people that way. So you're out from Thanksgiving, but a long weekend coming, and so are the Christmas holidays. Stock up. Go to see my friends at Poplar and St. Nick. That's where the Spirit Shop is and has been since 1969. We take a break. When we come back, our coach, Glenn Rogers Jr., puts a bow on this year's high school football season.
Hey, this is Eli Savoy. Greg Gaston and I have moved. Instead of Sports 56 middays, we are now Sports 56 mornings. That's right. Join us every morning from 7 to 10 right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I want to do some bragging rights. Hey, I was just the other day overhearing a conversation with Big Mike, the manager of DeSoto Auto Sales. They've got people buying cars all over the country. North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Arkansas, Texas. People from all over the country buy cars at DeSoto Auto Sales in Olive Branch, Mississippi. Why? DeSoto Auto Sales has the most stringent car inspection in America. They get it right the first time. Quality and low mileage, factory warranty on most vehicles. My favorite part is the people who work there. Big Mike, all the employees are professional, friendly, and go that extra mile. Expect as you walk in the door, you're treated like family. DeSoto Auto Sales understands your time matters. We can help you find your dream car and get all the paperwork finished in less than an hour. Come see us at DeSoto Auto Sales and be part of our family. Have a great buying experience every time. 662-890-7184.
I'm with John Burgos in the alley at the world-famous Rendezvous. John, it's so good to see you. How are things at the restaurant?
Thank you, Brett. We are here and we're making it. I have to say a big thank you to all of our customers that ordered food during the curbside days, bought gift certificate when times were slow, ordered food to be shipped from our shipping kitchen, and then came back down to eat when our doors reopened. We owe a debt to the Memphis and surrounding community for supporting us when we need it. I hope y'all all come eat some barbecue with us, but I also hope you'll support our local restaurants. And if your service is a little slow or an item isn't on the menu that you enjoy, cut them a little slack. Hopefully it'll be there soon.
Thank you, John. We appreciate you for feeding all of us, and we will take that advice to heart.
Brett, we also have a new twist at the Rendezvous. We now have outdoor dining. It's in the side alley along the Rendezvous, not the one in the front. And depending on the weather and depending on staffing, please call ahead to make sure we're open. And we hope it becomes a mainstay here at the Rendezvous.
Mr. Charlie Burgos' world-famous Rendezvous in the alley in downtown Memphis.
AC trouble? Call Air Doctors of Memphis, 901-598-HVAC. Owner Matt Davis is a third-generation full-service air conditioning specialist. Air Doctors of Memphis services all major brands, and labor and parts are guaranteed 100%. Their yearly AC checkup is only $60. Then this year, Air Doctors is the official HVAC contractor for St. Jude Dream House. Air Doctors installed the St. Jude Dream House new Train high-efficiency equipment. Get your service from the best. AirDoctorsOfMemphis.com. Call 901-598-HVAC.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
I'm Brian Elder, 867-0303. Hurricane season is upon us. Is your roof ready? Are your shingles laying down and sealed properly? Call me right now, 867-0303. They say you get what you pay for. That's why my opinion is free. Maybe you've got years of life left in your roof. If so, I'll tell you that. But if I find storm damage or a compromised roof system, I'll lay out some options for you. Don't let them tell you it needs to be replaced if it only needs a repair. Call me, 867-0303. Has your insurance company already seen it and rejected your claim? Maybe they're correct. Most of the time, they're not. They do tend to become more reasonable once I get involved, though. 867-0303. I'll measure your roof from outer space or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome back in Brooklyn. Our good friend, our coach, is going to put a bow on the high school football season today. Glenn Rogers comes your way in a minute. Brought to you by Sheldon. You know, Sheldon is as good at directing you, coaching you when it comes to real estate as Glenn Rogers and all the coaching staff is at MUS, guiding those young guys to greatness on the playing field. Sheldon will admit he's not very good at some other things like golf. He loves golf, but they call him triple bogey because he never practices. And you may ask, why would he never practice? Because he's too busy working 24/7, 365, even like yesterday, on his strategic marketing program and finding you the right location, the right house, or selling your house. Nobody sells it faster than Sheldon. It's true. It's that marketing strategy that he's had for years, the Shell Bucks, everything that is unique that Sheldon has perfected. So he hasn't perfected putting, but he certainly has perfected this strategy, which will help you just get that house done and sold immediately. All you got to do is go look at MemphisRelocate.com. You get a hint, and then call him, 483-0546. He always says call 2 or 3. Compare. But then you'll know, once you've talked to him, why he's your guy. MemphisRelocate.com or 483-0546. That's Sheldon Rosengarten with Marks Bensdorf. Well, unfortunately, the season is done in high school football for all of the Shelby County schools. Coach Glenn Rogers, you know we got a lifetime contract with you, so we'll do this again next year. But we're going to say goodbye to you for this season, and this was pretty sudden. All 4 teams that were still in it, I had high hopes. Nobody's going to be a state champion. Nobody's going to get a gold ball this year, or even a silver ball for that matter, in the high school football championships. Are you surprised?
Yeah, I'm very surprised, Dave, and good morning to all our listeners. And, you know, Dave, I'm a little jealous. You're up in Brooklyn. I saw you on the national broadcast. I know you eating at some fine places up there, man. The food up there is great, and I'm so proud of these Tigers, man, with Penny Hardaway and Coach Brown, and just excited to see the game tonight. But, you know, like you said, Dave, getting back to high school football, if you talk to any coach in the area, it's been a disappointing season for most programs. I know for us, this, like I told you a couple weeks last week, this is the first time we've been out of it this early in probably 18 to 20 years. And so, you know, Rodney Salisbury and them, you know, Whitehaven, they got out this early. It's been a very, very disappointing year if you poll most of the coaches in the area.
Well, I would say this. I think the fact that, like, for the public schools, not in the case of MUS or those private schools that play the Division II, the public schools in Memphis, I think in Nashville too, they didn't play last year. I think in East Tennessee they didn't play last year. I think that has to have an effect, because all of a sudden sophomores are now seniors and they missed a whole year. They missed a junior year. And the guys that you really counted on that were going up the chain, well, they missed a whole year and they're gone. They really missed a part of their youth. So that was really sad. So I think that's a part of it. The other one, and this is a tough question, but I've heard from some local coaches that will never say this on the record, but they think that in Nashville particular, Middle Tennessee has better high school football than Shelby County. Is there accuracy to that?
Definitely, Dave. There's a lot of truth to that. I think Nashville, you know, think about this, Dave, with the Titans and the hockey team and all the country music stars that live in Nashville. The economy there is booming, and when you got that kind of booming economy and all those pro athletes, the Titans and the hockey guys, all those guys are producing children, and so when you got athletic children from coming from these great athletes, you know, with the facilities and everything, most of those high schools in the Nashville area, and I'm talking about the private schools and the public schools, the football, when you look around Nashville, the facilities as far as football, they're way ahead of us. I mean, you look at Collierville, which is really up to par with an indoor facility and all the amenities they have with the football, the film rooms, and the meeting rooms. And, you know, you take Christian Brothers, for example, that did an overhaul about 3 years ago. They're up to par with the weight room and things like that. You know, now Bartlett is moving into that fold, you know, with their facilities and the new stadium, and then Briarcrest got the new Jumbotron. But if you ask most coaches, our facilities is nowhere near a lot of those schools in Nashville and even in Arkansas as well, Dave.
Well, it's interesting. You mentioned Bartlett moving in that direction. Sometimes it takes a principal that likes football, likes athletics, to get involved in that. And if people don't know, and I love this guy, Tim Jones, the former Tiger quarterback, who was unbelievable one year against Alabama. I mean, you talk about tough. I think he got his lip and his mouth shattered. He had like 17 stitches in there. It didn't matter. He was still playing. Tim Jones is the principal at Bartlett, and that's part of the reason for that movement. I think one of the great stories this year had to be Collierville. I didn't realize they have their own indoor.
Yeah, Collierville has their own indoor, and like you said, Dave, Tim Jones, my former Tiger teammate, one of the toughest guys I've ever played with on any level. You know, outstanding quarterback for us. But, you know, like you said, Dave, been a great story for Collierville and Joe Riccone, and it takes a principal, a man like Tim Jones, to say, hey, look, you know, football and sports is important. We need to upgrade the facilities. It takes people like them to really step up in these public and big private schools and these big public schools and even these municipalities to say, hey, listen, if we want to be competitive in sports and in football especially, we've got to upgrade our facilities to help these young men to build strength and muscle and to have the proper training equipment. And it takes guys like that to really start sending that message.
Glenn, what's one or two other really good stories that you thought from this year from local high school football?
I thought Central was a good story. I thought Major Wright did an outstanding job with his team this year. They lost to Whitehaven late in the season, but they were undefeated up to that point. So I thought that was a real good sign that, Major was, got his guys galvanized and got, the seniors bought in. And, like you said, missing a year, I thought they did an outstanding job at Central, him and his staff. Like you said, Joe Riccone, I thought it was a great year for him, going undefeated. One of the real feel-good stories in this area, Colleyville bringing that program back up to where it should be. And then, when you look at talk about the private schools, Christian Brothers heavily favored. Took some tough losses. I know that they lost to us, lost to Briarcrest early, and then making it to the semifinals in our division. Coming back and beating Briarcrest at home, and going up to Knoxville Catholic the week before then. That to me was another sign, a good story for Thomas McDaniel and his staff making a big push, a big run deep in the playoffs.
I'm in total agreement with you there, because he had the burden, and some of it was he had this great offensive lineman and this great running back. They had the burden of being the target, because it was consensus that they were the best team in the region, and I think they were the preseason favorite to win the big Division II league. And they did falter. They faltered right off the bat, and yet they came back, and as you said, they went to the semis. I think that shows you their toughness, and their coach is tough too. And he's also a very good speaker. I enjoy listening to him every year at St. Louis Church when he sort of precedes me on the dais. And he's always an interesting guy, has very honest things to say. I appreciate him, and I appreciate that comeback. And the one other thing about the Major Wright story was that Major Wright's son was a part of that. Now, I know they had a great running back, I think, on that team, but Major Wright's son was the quarterback, and he's a young guy. And in the same week, he won a state, some sort of a golf tournament, and then that was like on a Wednesday. And then Friday night, they won a football game, and he was really good at passing in that particular game. So that was a great story. And the Wright family, it goes back to his dad and his mom and his sister used to do stats. I mean, it's always, high school football has always been in the makeup of the Wright family.
And another program, Dave, Mars with Cedric Miller and his son that's committed to Tennessee. That's another good story for this year. I want to say he was undefeated or maybe lost one game in the regular season, but he had a deep run in the playoffs, and his son, I tell you, Dave, is a heck of an athlete, a guy that can play on both sides of the ball in college. Be very interesting to see which side he chooses, but that's another feel-good story with Mars and Cedric Miller, the former Tiger, that we all know and grew up in this city, Fairleigh High School product. We're proud of Cedric Miller and his staff and his son.
We know Cedric's really his son is really a great player, but I got to tell you, I don't know that we give Cedric Miller enough credit as a coach. He has been an outstanding coach for a number of years. People might forget. I was reminded of this by the Daily Memphian basketball beat writer, Steve Johnson. He played football for Cedric Miller at Southwind, and really, Cedric Miller started that football program at Southwind, and now look what he's doing at MAHS. He's just been a winner everywhere he's gone.
Absolutely. Like you said, when he was at Southwind, Dave had them relevant every year. They always made deep runs, always had talent, guys going to college. And, look what he's doing at Mars now with his son. Made a deep run this year. I'm sure he's got a heck of a coaching staff on his, that's under him. And so that's another feel-good story this year. Look, like we said, with the pandemic, with limited practices, guys that were seniors missed a whole senior year, so guys that were sophomores are seniors now. So hats off to him and his staff with a heck of a year this year. And that's one of those stories, one of those programs where it was not a disappointment. I'm sure they were disappointed by not winning or competing for a state championship game, playing in the state championship game, but a great year for him and his staff and his program.
Coach, it's been a pleasure all year long. We'll do it again next fall. Thank you so much. Happy Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas to you and your family and all your friends and MUS. And again, I appreciate all the time you give us over all these years.
Oh, Dave, and happy Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas to you and your family. And look forward to doing it every year. And we making chop it up during that 1 week during the All-Star game at the Liberty Bowl, just to see how some of these young men are progressing along.
We'll definitely do that, no question. Thank you, Glenn. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
That is our coach, Glenn Rogers, brought to you by Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and, of course, the tune-up. That's the 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-up for $69. But there's more in the winter. It also includes a very important ingredient, which is a safety inspection of your heater. So this is pretty cool the way they do it. And they don't charge you anything extra. It's the same thing. You spend $69 in the summer, and, you're not going to get this inspection. This is why it's critical, because you know what? There's carbon monoxide you got to worry about. So they take the state-of-the-art camera system into your units and into the routing, and they check for leaks everywhere. Then they do a carbon monoxide test. And when that passes, you've got peace of mind for you and your family. It also helps out your unit, your system. It sends your MLGW bills down, and it gives the longevity up for your entire system. Get it checked twice a year, but do the one in winter, $69, including the safety inspection. All you got to do is call 384-3511. That's Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. To Chicago we go in a minute. Our friend Andy Schiffman, the agent from Priority Sports. He'll talk NBA and Grizz when we come back.
Former Memphis Tiger Gabe Kuhn joins Brett Norsworthy for Sports Time on Sports 56, weekday afternoons from 3 to 6 on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
For years, I have talked to you about James Davis, the finest men's store in all of Memphis, the service, the selection, everything that goes with quality. And I've told you recently about the Stant Perfect Fit shirts. Well, now there's the Stant Perfect Fit pants. Absolutely amazing. Only 2 measurements fed into a computer, and all of a sudden, you've got the perfect fit pants. I'm talking everywhere. The leg, the seat, the bottom, all made to fit your body absolutely perfectly. And there's 80 different fabrics to choose from. You will find the right look, the right fit, almost instantaneously. They start at $162, but you will never find a better pair of pants than these at James Davis Men's Store. And the shirts are still there, and guess what? It's the only place in Memphis that you can find Stant. That's the James Davis Men's Store in the Laurelwood Shopping Center.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. If you need a new roof for your home or business, we hope to hear from you and will work hard to earn your business. We are experts and certified in residential and commercial roofing, siding, and gutter installation. I have been serving the Memphis area for over 20 years, and now with 2 of my sons working with me, we plan to be here for years to come. So if you need a roof, please give us a call. On a personal note, what a great time it is to be a Memphis sports fan. With the Grizzlies and the Redbirds and 901 FC, not to mention Tigers football and basketball, it's going to be a fun year. Thanks to Coach Silverfield and Coach Hardaway and their staffs for their dedication to the student and athletes, the University of Memphis, the City of Memphis, and us fans. Fiveash Roof Services, a proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Ante up. It's a party. Join us December 4th and 5th from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. at the new WinBet Sports Bar inside FedEx Forum. To sweeten the deal, they're giving away free pretzel bites with any purchase during the weekend only. Visit FedExForum.com/WinBet Sports Bar for more. At Louis Deli and Meat Market in Arlington, you'll not only see the quality, you'll taste the quality in every bite. Got a tailgate party or a backyard get-together? Ask Louis to make a deli meat and cheese tray. Score big with Louis sausages and bratwurst. Handmade fresh in the store. No time to cook? Louis now carries Oh Great, locally owned and made. Oh Great's take and bake foods include their famous chicken spaghetti, shepherd's pie, quiche, soups, desserts, breakfast foods, and more. Louis Deli and Meat Market in Arlington, 11695 Highway 70, just a quarter mile east of Highway 385. Veteran owned, Louis Deli and Meat Market. Quality you can see and taste.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again, it's the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome back. Final segment on this Black Friday. It's brought to you by Old Dominick. They're proud partners of the Tigers, and they're really now in all of the Memphis DNA. They're really cool. It's a unique thing because there's this great bar that is elegant, not stuffy, and you can try all their products there. Or you can do this very unique tour. The Old Dominick Distillery Tour is a 45-minute, they call it a sensory journey, and I think that's the way it is. It starts with the history of Old Dominick and the whiskey and their founder, Domenico Canali, who came to this country with nothing, and now they got an empire. It's a great story. Then you get an up-close view of how they do this craft, from grain to glass. It's cool. And then it ends with a curated tasting of the Old Dominick portfolio of spirits. That is neat. If you can't make it to downtown tour, you can ask any of your Memphis spirit shops, like our friends at the Spirit Shop at Poplar and Old Nick, and you can find all the Old Dominick product on shelves. It's all over the place. Share a sip of pure Memphis with your hometown brand, Old Dominick. To Chicago we go from Priority Sports, our agent Andy Schiffman. Please, Andy, explain to me the Memphis Grizzlies, who can go to Utah and win and run out of gas at home against the Toronto Raptors.
Well, Dave, that's the thing. You can't explain that. That is an anomaly. They looked so good against Utah the other night. They looked good defensively. They were gritty. They fought back, and then you come back home the other night against the Raptors, a team they should absolutely have beaten, especially on their home court. I mean, the Raptors, don't get me wrong, they've got some nice young pieces, and Scotty Barnes and some Pascal Siakam's a good player, Fred VanVleet. But to go out there, Precious, who is by no means, as Tiger fans know, by no means a three-point shooter, going out there and letting him knock in 3 threes and end with 17 points, that just cannot happen, especially when you go into halftime with a significant lead and you just fall apart in the second half. That was a really, really tough loss, and especially going to Thanksgiving with a loss like that one is unexplainable, especially considering you just beat a really good Utah team on the road.
Yeah, that seems to be the MO of these Grizzlies. They're going to be a 500 team because, and it doesn't matter. They win games against teams they're not supposed to beat. They lose games to teams they're supposed to beat. Yep. Then they switch that around, but they always seem to go one win, one loss. It's hard for them to string a group together.
It really is, and tonight's not going to be any easier. You got a Hawks team that have won 6 straight now, and they're very well coached. Trae Young, John Collins, Mike Klein, Kevin Huerter, who's played really well as of late. So it's going to be another difficult matchup. And look, the Grizzlies have to do something they just really didn't do against the Raptors, besides Desmond Bane, is just knock down threes. I mean, you had Zaire Williams 0 for 4 from 3 against the Raptors. Ja didn't hit a 3. Dylan Brooks was 2 for 9 from 3. You have to be able to knock down perimeter shots, and you have to be able to contain, especially tonight, a very perimeter-oriented team in Atlanta, contain their three-point shooting, dribble penetration, the ability to get inside with John Collins and Clint Capella and those guys up front. So it's definitely going to be a difficult matchup, and they need to come out and just be consistent from the start to finish defensively. That's what I'd like to see, because tonight you're going to win this game with defense.
Well, it's a pretty even game. I mean, let's face it. You got John, Trae Young. That's a great showdown. And they're both tied for 8th in the league in scoring at 25.3 points per game. And just those two guys are worth the price of admission in my mind.
Oh, absolutely. Now, it'll be interesting to see if Ja and Trae are defending each other. I think that maybe they try and put Dylan on Trae Young. But I think there will be a lot of instances where they do go up against each other. Maybe not the whole game, but it'll be great. It'll be high octane offense in their backcourt, just like with the Grizzlies. So it'll be a really intriguing matchup. And the Grizzlies, they got to stay out of foul trouble. That's for sure.
There is a great story around basketball involving our own Marc Gasol, who retired, but now he's unretiring for the end of the year, playing for a team he founded called Girona, which is in the second division in the Spanish Basketball League. Are you surprised at this? And sort of explain, I think he founded this team and owns it.
Yep.
He's a player owner.
Yep. No, he definitely did. I think it's the LEB Gold is the second division there in Spain. Like all these second division teams anywhere in Europe, they always try and compete to get bumped up to first division the following year. So I think that'll be great. I think that's going to be great for the fans. What will be really interesting, obviously, Pau Gasol left the NBA and played for Barcelona last season. Will Pau come back to potentially join Marc on that team? That would be something really special.
Division II, how much of a step down is that? Is there an equivalent to what it would be in America? Like, is it like the G League and the Hustle, or is it below that? What is Division II in the Spanish League quality like?
Sure, I would say it's pretty similar to the G League. The G League might actually be a little bit better. But if you're talking about the difference in competition and quality of play and teams and players between Spain, which is the top league in Europe outside the NBA, it's the top basketball league there is. The difference in competition and quality between Division I and Division II is immense, because the first division in Spain has teams, powerhouse teams like a Barcelona, Real Madrid, some of these teams where guys go from the NBA to play or turn down NBA offers to stay there and play. Luka Doncic obviously was with Real Madrid. Former Grizzly, my client Wade Baldwin, is playing with one of the top teams in Spain too. So the first division in Spain is littered with superstars, higher budget teams that can spend more money on better players. You just don't have that in second division Spain, really second division anywhere in Europe.
Other interesting story was LeBron, who we know got caught up with Isaiah Stewart, the Pistons center, and an elbow hit him in the eye, and blood started pouring out, and Isaiah Stewart went nuts, and he got suspended 2 games. LeBron got suspended 1 game. LeBron says he didn't deserve to be suspended, and, he missed his only appearance here in New York at Madison Square Garden, and I think that upset him a little bit. There are some people that say he's a dirty player, that this is not surprising. It's his first suspension. Did he deserve the suspension, and does he deserve the rep as sort of being, I don't want to say unsportsmanlike, but sometimes dirty?
Well, I've never thought of LeBron as a quote-unquote dirty player, because I know there are other players around the league, from talking with my own clients, that are significantly dirtier, and also from talking with my guys. No one really ever brings up LeBron as being a dirty player. I think in this instance, Dave, the scuffle with Isaiah Stewart, I honestly think he was suspended a game because he was there involved, and necessarily really, if you watch those clips, he never really kind of turned his back and walked away. And I think that was more, he wanted to show Isaiah Stewart, hey, like, if you got an issue with me, come at me. But he really wasn't charging towards Isaiah like Isaiah was charging towards LeBron. He stood his ground, but he really didn't walk off the court completely. And so because of all of the drama and excitement surrounding that instance where you had Isaiah Stewart returning a third and fourth time trying to tackle LeBron, I think maybe his 1-game suspension was consequential from that, but I don't really necessarily think it was a dirty play. You saw the play where he smacked him on the eye during free throw box out. He even turned around right away and said, I didn't mean to do that, my bad, my apologies. Now, I think on the flip side, as Isaiah Stewart, a young player with the Pistons who are struggling, he was frustrated. He's probably frustrated with the season. LeBron was having a really good game. I think he probably just went. It was a trigger for him. He just took it out on LeBron, and the fact that it was LeBron.
Yeah. Andy, as always, thank you. Happy holidays to you. Hope you had a great Turkey Day, and we got Hanukkah coming up on the 28th, Sunday night, I think it is. So enjoy that too.
That's right.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Dave.
Andy Schiffman, our friend in Chicago. We got plenty that we'll be talking about on Monday, including Tiger football. Can they get to their 8th straight bowl? Tulane will be interesting. And then tonight, Memphis going for the NIT championship against Iowa State. Have a great weekend, everybody.
The folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai want to say thank you. Thank you, Memphis, for another spectacular year. They set records, but I can understand.